rolling, so it should be cool. Hi, this is Matt Kendall, and today I'm speaking to Paul Bridge. I met Paul, it was on one of the forums, one of the Facebook pages, I believe. I don't know if it's Hypnotherapy Market. I think it may be in Hypnotherapy Marketing, or one of them may have been on the IEMT association. I'm not quite sure. But on there, he said that he's recently qualified in IEMT, and he's currently seeing 25 plus clients per week. And I thought, I need to speak to this guy. I need to find out what he's doing. I need to find out how he's using IEMT, because apparently a lot of his work, I had spoken to him briefly on Facebook, and he told me that a lot of your clients are mainly via referral, which is brilliant. So I thought, right, I need to speak to him, because as you know, I'm an IEMT trainer, and I want to show people what IEMT is like to use as a clinician, and what impact it can have on your business, on your therapy business. So, hey, Paul, whereabouts in the world are you today, Paul?
Bacup in Lancashire.
Oh, Lancashire. Nice. Well, I'm here in sunny London, which is sunny for a change. So we were just speaking. We both know Sonia Richards, and you did your training with her just a couple of months ago. Can I ask you, how did you become aware of IEMT, and what did you think of the training? And also, what was your background before then?
My background before all that, I've been a counsellor for 20 years. I have a master's degree in integrative counselling, but I can also do eye movement sensitization and reprocessing, better known as EMDR.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I do a little bit of brain spotting as well. And a guy called Chris Grimsley, who's an NLP trainer, told me a while back about IEMT, and he said that he thought it was the best of all the eye movement therapies. And eventually I got round to doing the training with Sonia, which was excellent, and I like it very, very much. I find it to be the most flexible of all the eye movement therapies, and it has bells and whistles to boot. Yeah,
because you did EMDR. Now,
that's right.
I gave a talk a few days ago, and I had an EMDR therapist attend, and she just said how much she loved IEMT because of its flexibility, because of its speed, and because of its simplicity as well.
Yeah.
So when you do EMDR, I'm right in thinking it's usually a 6-week minimum protocol, and for the first few weeks you don't even really do any eye movements. You're sort of building a case, not building a case, but taking all the case and everything like that. So EMDR, as I also, from what I understand, again, I have never used EMDR. I've read some books on it and stuff, but apparently it's sort of quite limiting, because all it really focuses on is just imagery, and then you're giving yourself affirmations and stuff like this. And
Yeah. You had these subjective units of distress, which is a measure out of 10, for example, which we have in IEMT.
Yes.
And the idea is whatever the person's trauma is, for example, to get them down from 10 to 0.
Right.
You then have to put a positive affirmation in, which is the opposite of the negative that you started with, and then get them up to 10 with that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. No, the reason why I don't like things like that is because with IEMT, it's not about feeling good. It's, in my view, it's basically how do you stop people from incapacitating negative states, and how do you stop them feeling bad? Because if you stop somebody feeling bad, you don't need to feel good, in my opinion. You know?
Exactly. So this is why IEMT it's more practical, it's quicker, and there's not a lot of faffing about, as I call it, and it's an unnecessary need for extra sessions. And I've had this discussion with other counsellors as well. You know, in the counselling profession, you can have someone from 6 months to 2 years sat in the chair, and this has never sat well with me. I like to get a person on the mend and on the move much quicker than that, and so that's what attracts me to eye movement therapies. And like I said, the training in IEMT is excellent.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more flexible. The work around identity for me is utterly priceless. And the 3 pillars as well, excellent work. But tell you what did shock me, Matt, as a result of some of my posts on the IEMT Association Facebook page, I've had a few IEMT practitioners contact me, and I'm shocked to find that they don't use the identity stuff.
I know. And I think that people who don't use the identity stuff are maybe those people without a counselling or therapy background.
Yeah.
I think it's more people who are maybe in coaching or maybe hypnosis, because in hypnosis there's not that much to do with identity work. Whereas some counselling work, I think, is more focused on identity and who you are. And I think in some sort of short-term solution therapies or brief change work therapies, it's more like, what's the problem, what's the outcome? And you just try to get people there as fast as possible without... I love when I first learned about the identity stuff, I was like, not really for me. But the more I got into it, the more I've developed and worked with it. And I had a really good chat with Andy Austin the other day about when you're breaking down some of these statements of the problems that's wrong with them, like I am a loser or whatever. Now, when you can take the feeling of, or you can take the identity of I and regress that back to the first time you remember being that way. And I was there saying, well, would you do that for the I, me, self, you, or just the I? And he says, well, you could do both, but you just doing the I will bring significant change. So that was one of my stumbling blocks. I didn't want to do the I, me, self, you for all the different, identity statements that came up. So I just used the identity statement that comes up. And so my mother was so horrible to me. Okay, let's take that me. And then we can take the mother as well and work on those 2 identities. So that's how I tend to work now. And then what I do is I do the I, me, self, you at the end when we've done all the emotional stuff, usually the second session. And I ask them to think about the problem that they came with. And so that might be public speaking, it might be a family-related issue. And I will then get the I, me, self, you from within the problem, update all of that, and then I'll do the psychological state accessing cue right at the end. And that's how I tend to work. And then I do a bit of hypnosis at the end, just to like cement it all in. So how many sessions do you typically see clients for?
Depends upon the issue, really. No more than 6 sessions usually.
Okay.
I do have clients that have been with me longer than that, but they've usually got severe personality disorders.
Right.
And all sorts of extracurricular problems that need a bit of time, really.
And when you're working with people now, because I know you've only been doing IEMT for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
How much IEMT do you do with people now? Is it your default, or do you use it as and when, or? It's
completely taken over my practice, really.
Wow.
I don't really use EMDR anymore. I've completely replaced it with IEMT. I still do a little bit of brain spotting, purely because I've got clients that I started brain spotting with, and they liked the familiarity of it. But IEMT has taken over. It is amazing to do with PTSD.
Yes.
I've got amazing results with that. And a lot of my clients are paramedics, police officers, soldiers, prison officers.
Yeah.
All the jobs where you're likely to get PTSD.
Yes, absolutely. Could you, without obviously giving any sort of too many details, could you give us some idea of some people who you've worked with and what kind of results you've helped them to achieve?
Yeah, I'll tell you about my case study if you like.
Yes, please do.
It was a lady that came to me, and she's had PTSD for 12 years, believe it or not. And it was all around the birth of her first daughter, which was horrendous. It didn't go well. They took the baby off as soon as she was born because she had a lot of issues. And they didn't tell her that this baby had issues. They just took her. They then took her in another room where the baby was, and she observed them shoving tubes into her newborn baby, and it was screaming its head off in pain. And this imagery was strongly implanted within her. It's a horrendous memory. But there was also associated memory with the music that they were playing in the hospital. It was a Norah Jones track. I can't remember what it was called, but what she found is that over the years, that now if she went into a supermarket and heard the Norah Jones track, she'd be physically sick.
Wow.
If she heard a newborn baby cry, she became physically sick. So I used IEMT on the PTSD, and would you believe it, by the end of just one session, I was able to go on my Spotify account, play the Norah Jones track, and she could sit there and listen to it without any issue at all.
Wow.
And I then went on YouTube, found a screaming baby, played that to her, and again,
wow,
5 weeks later, she reported back to me and said that her friend had a newborn baby, and she was able to go over, hold the baby and cuddle the baby. And these were things that she previously, there's no way she would have to leave the room. So miraculous, almost success. For
amazing.
Yeah.
No, I've had, lots of stories, not specifically like that, but very similar to that. In fact, if you go on my YouTube, I've got lots of case studies where I do interviews like this with people. And I think that what it is, IEMT is so powerful, is that people don't think it's real, or they think it's some sort of magic trick. Yeah. And this is why I do these interviews with people, and I do so many talks around the country. And I go, look, try it out, see what it's like. Because the thing is, no matter how weird you think it is, I think it's weirder. And this is why, I want people to investigate this. I want IEMT to be fully researched. I want them to be doing it in scanners. I want people to do, research papers on it. Because I really want to know, what's going on. Because I think the one thing we can all agree on is that change is taking place. Change is taking place. So you're currently working with 25 plus people a week. Now, you said a lot of that's through referrals, and do you think that's to do with the work you're doing with IEMT?
I think, there is some of that to do with it, but I've only been doing IEMT for a couple of months. I have a reputation as a good therapist, which helps. Also, the health service helps out in that respect, Matt, as you know. There's a 9-month waiting list around this area to see someone. And although there's a lot of counsellors in the area, there's very few specialists. And it's the eye movement that brings about the quickest change. And so you can either go and see a therapist, sit there 6 months, reliving your PTSD, or you can come and see someone who's using IEMT and have like a 2, maybe 3 session change. And you're never the same again. It's gone.
Exactly. And so how do you currently advertise them? What's your best kind of advertising methods? Do you
I don't really. I don't advertise. I have the place where I go and get my hair cut. I leave cards there.
Right.
And I think hairdressers are a good medium to get clients. Yeah, because people go in, they get and they share their problems. And if they've got your cards on hand, they'll say, well, why don't you speak to this guy? He's very good. And
do you tend to work with men or women predominantly?
I reckon it's probably a 40-60 mix in favour of women.
Okay.
But I do get a lot of men because I'm known for fixing PTSD.
Wow. And so is PTSD the thing that you really focus in on?
It's the thing that I'm probably best known for. But I do deal with other things, personality disorders, etc.
Okay. And so, do you have like websites? Do you do any Facebook Lives or anything like that? Or
I have a Facebook page. I have a website.
Yeah.
And when I first started out, because I only opened the practice, believe it or not, in August of last year.
Wow.
Because prior to that, most of my income came from something I invented, which is used in prisons and colleges and all over the place, really. It's even used in Australia.
What, something that's used? Can I ask what it is, or is it secret?
Yeah, it's an online tool that measures mental health, emotional intelligence, multiple intelligence, and resilience. And it also, what's good about it is it measures distance travelled. And inbuilt within the system itself are 78 plans of how that person can change themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very impressive. Very impressive. And so you decided to, like say, you decided to become a therapist in August. And do you work from home? Do you have a clinic? How do you run things?
This actually is my therapy room.
Right.
Looks like a living room, but I like that kind of feel.
Yeah.
I don't think a therapist should sit behind a big desk and sit there smoking a pipe and look at the client, have them lay down. I'm not into that. I think it should be as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
The client coming in.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree, actually. Completely agree. So you like I say, just to sort of recap on this, because I know we're both very short on time this morning. So you studied IEMT just a few months ago. Were you previously trained in EMDR as your main sort of modality. You now have sort of switched over pretty much to using IEMT, and you're mainly working around PT. Now, when you do the PTSD work, are you just going, what's the memory, work on the memory, or are you using the whole PTSD protocol when you do it? Or do you go
I'm not using the whole PTS protocol because I'm not yet as fully familiar with it as I should be.
Okay.
So, and really, I already had a system in place using EMDR. So really, I've just taken out the EMDR model and replaced it with IEMT.
Yeah.
So I'm working mostly with the memory.
Yes. Okay. And do you use, this is getting a bit sort of technical, but do you tend to use like the simple patterns on that? Or do you go for the more complex patterns with the emotions and stuff around it? Or do you do a combination of the two?
I use combinations, really. I'm constantly searching for a somatic response, an eye wobble or a twitch or something to guide me to the memory where it's sitting.
Yeah.
And then I'll concentrate on that until it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I work in quite a similar way, actually. I tend to use the simple, if somebody comes to me with PTSD, I will only use the actual model, the whole model that we teach and the training, if they are currently suffering from a lot of symptoms afterwards and they've been seeking treatment for the symptoms, the stress, the anxiety, the self-loath, all the stuff afterwards. I will then do the whole model. With the model, what you do is you sort of work around what they were doing before, what they were doing at the incident. And basically, I get it right to what they were or weren't doing, the actual linchpin. And that's only because if they've been through something, but they don't know why they're so affected in that sense. If they come to me and they go, because I witnessed this being done, if I'm working with a policeman and he went into a house and he saw some horrific scenes, there's no need to do that. You know what I mean? We have the imagery right there and then. And then what I tend to do is I tend to work on those images using the simple pattern. And then with any sort of residual feelings that kind of come up, I'll then use those emotions to regress back and then start to do the more complex pattern to try to create more of a flow of thought in imagery. Yeah. And that seemed to work really well. And then basically we can future pace it to see if they're going through another home raid, what apprehension comes up and then start to do that as well. So you do a lot of PTSD work. I think basically what you're doing is you're networking within your local area and making yourself known, which is really good. And I think that what happens these days with therapists and coaches, they hide behind a laptop, they hide behind their phone. And I always say to people, you'll never beat going out and speaking to people. You'll never beat it. When I first started as a hypnotherapist, I was working at a place called Bannatyne's Gym in Manchester. And I was in the basement, and nobody knew I was there. And I was working with two masseuses who started this. It was like an Elemis clinic or something. It was really nice, but nobody knew it was there. And so none of us had any work. And I said, right, we're going up to the reception. So I cleared it with the manager. We went up to reception. And I was basically just talking to people. The masseuses brought, those chair massage things? Like we can sit with the chair. They brought some of those up. They were giving away free samples. I was chatting to people. Suddenly we were very, very busy. And it was simply because we weren't changing what we were doing as a service. We were just changing how we got awareness of it. We were putting ourselves in front of the right people. And even people who were passing, who weren't even in the gym, were enticed in. And we were getting passing trade, which was absolutely, bonkers. And I worked there for quite a long time. And also, let me tell you, with the barbers. So I used to live with a carpet cleaner. He's not a carpet cleaner now, but him and his dad used to run a carpet cleaning company. And what they did for the local hairdressers, they cleaned their houses. They cleaned their carpets, because hairdressers are professional chatters, and you want them on your side. And so that's what they did. They worked with the local hairdressers, and that was all their work, basically. They got so many referrals, and then once they got referrals, they'd then take them flowers and stuff, or champagne, and it just sort of doing like that. So let me ask you, if there's a new client, if there's a new therapist or IEMT therapist or any kind of therapist really, who's either struggling for clients or is kind of starting out, and they want to work with the amount of people that you're working with, obviously to build up, what would just be some of your advice, or if you were to start again, what would you do? Well, basically, what would your advice be for people who are struggling for clients?
Well, you need to get some cards made.
Yep.
And I had some sort of A5 leaflets made as well that outlined the sort of stuff that I work on.
Yeah.
Then you go out and you meet the people, Matt, as you rightly said. Call in at hairdressers. I also called in at undertakers as well, because obviously there's bereavement work there, and just asked, could I leave my literature about? And no one said no.
Yeah.
And I think people just are a bit timid about walking into places and making yourself known. But really, it is the best way to drum up business for yourself. And then if you're a good therapist, your work speaks for itself, and you get lots and lots of referrals.
And how do you deal with referrals? As in, like, do you have, I wish I had more time, but do you have funnels and systems in place, or do you just literally have your phone number and email on website and people contact it? Well, so say that I picked up one of your cards, what would then happen? What would be the process of working with you?
Well, they can access my website, and on my website it outlines the type of things that I do. And they can message me direct from the website. They can contact me through Facebook. I usually on Facebook, I have a Facebook page, and I usually post something every other day, and you find it gets shared, and that helps you get more clients. Also, quite a novel one I forgot to mention, Matt, was my wife. When I first started out on Facebook, you get these buy and sell sites.
Yes, yeah.
My wife put me on there for sale, a counsellor for sale, and I got quite a few clients from that as well.
Wait a minute. She put you on there for sale.
Yeah.
For the sessions, not for the...
Yeah.
No, it wasn't her sort of sneaky way of sort of, offloading you. It was,
That's right. Now, the other big advantage I have over perhaps, say, NLP practitioners or just basic IEMT practitioners is that as a counsellor, there are directories that I can pay to go on. Like one of the biggest ones is the counselling directory. And I'll get at least 3 clients a month from that. So that's a good one for if you're a counsellor.
And do you do any paid advertising at all?
No, nothing.
So your advertising budget on an annual basis is 0. The only things that you're paying for are your business cards and flyers.
Yeah, I did try going in, local advertisement magazine. I did try that once and got 0 from it.
Yeah.
So I don't bother advertising anymore. I kind of have a reputation within the area.
And I think that's the real important thing, is to have it within the area. So I could speak to you for hours. Unfortunately, I do have a client just coming up. I want to thank you so much for your time. I really want to keep in contact with you as well, because I think that you're a fascinating guy, and I think that, you know, I like your approach to working with things as well, which I think is really good. And obviously, I will see you on the Facebook page and stuff as well. But just one last thing, because I'm excuse me, I'm doing a training, an IEMT training later this year, in July. If you're watching it now, it's excuse me, too early for me. I'm doing a training in July 6th and 7th, and I do them quite regularly in London. It's 2019 at the moment.
Yeah.
For somebody who's on the, not on the edge, on the fence, between sort of doing this eye movement training or not, what would you say to them? What impact has it had on your career? It's just like a finishing statement.
I'd say that if you're serious about working with the public and creating change for people that's lasting, you need to learn IEMT. It's absolutely brilliant. And it has a huge advantage over EMDR in that your client doesn't need to tell the story
for
it to work.
Yeah. Content-free work. Content-free work.
Correct.
Thank you once again. I'm sure you've got a very busy day with clients today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'll speak to you soon, okay?
You're welcome, Matt. Lovely, lovely to chat with you. Take care.